I grew up in the mid-'70s. My family spent about 4 years on a military base called Tachikawa. My father was a career military man. That was one of his last duty stations. The real Tachikawa was closing as my family lived on it. I visited it a few years ago when I was on a research trip in Tokyo, and it's now a peace park. Growing up on a military base, especially abroad, it can be a very isolating experience for the families. There's always a few blocks just beyond the main gate of a base where there's this edge effect of cultures and language colliding, where the locals are catering to what the military needs, and the military is making those kinds of demands, those kind of economic demands, really, market demands. But it can be quite isolating. The military, I think, attempts to sort of replicate little Americas so that it would be possible to not leave a military base abroad and really not know that you're in another country. Because of that, they're also very safe places. Most of my friends growing up were other American kids whose fathers were serving. We lived in this safe, kind of tightly knit community. The genesis of the book is a family photo that I came across. It was of my father, my brother, and I in front of our house, the house that we lived on base in Tachikawa. You know, anyone looking at that photo would have thought that it was taken in the suburbs of any town in America, any city in America, but there it was in the middle of the megalopolis of Tokyo. And that intrigued me, just what that picture meant and the meaning behind it. X-Days opens up with my two main characters in a van, Severin and Virginia, with Virginia's father, who's a base general and Severin's football coach. I follow them for many years. At first, we spent some time together on base outside Tokyo, American military base. They're both military dependents. Virginia sort of gets into some trouble outside base, and Severin tries but fails to help her. Years later, he returns to Tokyo to try to find her, as her estranged father is dying and is asked to find his daughter so that they can reunite before his death. I knew Japan as a child and a bit as an adult. I think much of what America is and what it means happens overseas. It happens through the perceptions and through kind of the reality of our great big and stretched out military. And I also wanted to spend some time with military dependents. With my first book, Jarhead, I was right on the front lines. There are other people who deal with the long-term aftermath of warfare, and that's another reason that I chose military dependents and the location of Japan. During the writing of X-Day, I took 3 trips to Tokyo and spent a few weeks there every time. Spent some time living inside of a Japanese home, some family friends of mine, and went to Yasukuni, the war shrine, went to the museums, and just spent a lot of time on the street, just kind of soaking up the Tokyo street and the sounds and the music and the food. I also, back here in the States, I had a research assistant by the name of Sachiko Tamura who did some work for me. Did some fact-checking for me as well in terms of making sure that the Japan that I was writing felt and sounded like an authentic Japan.